So the first thing I just wanted to tell you is, of course, if you're a technician, you already know there are 4 things you absolutely need to be able to do a seat check. And I'm just talking like get in the car and inspect that seat. And that's the vehicle owner's manual, the child restraint instruction manual. You need some sort of checklist form that's standardized, and you need an up-to-date recall list. So that, hopefully, you already learned that from class. But what we want to really talk about is what happens at a huge car seat check, where you're bombarded with a bunch of different people with different vehicles. One resource I wanted to mention first is buckleupnc.org. If you're not familiar with that site, you need to get real up close and comfortable with it, because they have loads of information. Anything you ever wanted to learn about car seat safety is on that site. And they have a standardized checklist form, as well as a recall list. That's the one in the background there. But you can also go to NHTSA's website at safercar.gov and access some recall information there as well. And it might be a little bit easier for a parent, because it's got some drop-down menus where they can select the name of the car, the manufacturer, and the year. So that might be easier for them to use. So when you're doing a car seat check event, put up here the clinic necessities. One of the first things you need to do is, if someone contacts you to do an event, or you think you might have one down at the Walmart or wherever, you need to go do a site visit and sort of think through how you're going to set the whole clinic up. Where are you going to put your technicians? Where can they land? Where can they light, so that between vehicles they have a place for their resources, they can take a break? Where are the cars going to enter the area? Where are they going to exit? How many lanes are you going to have? And how are you going to keep everybody safe? You also want to talk to the owners of that parking lot, whoever is owning that space, to make sure it's okay to be there, but also talk with them about what their ideas might be, because you and them might have completely different ideas about what's about to happen. And that is a good time to ask for a donation. If you are going to a for-profit place like a Walmart, ask them to provide lunch. Or if they've contacted you, often dealerships will contact us in Guilford County. I don't do it for free. I tell them, well, that's going to be a $500 donation, and they're happy to write that check, and they have it waiting for us when we get there. Now, if you're in an area that doesn't have lots of dealerships or lots of big places like that, and you're afraid to ask for that big of a donation, just ask for $100, $50, ask for something, and they'll probably be able to work something out with you. You may also want a memorandum of understanding. I got away from doing those for a while, and then it came back and got me, because, again, they might have different ideas about what they're responsible for, what you're responsible for, and a memorandum of understanding is nothing formal. It just lays it all out. It's not going to hold up in court or anything, but it does lay out what they're going to provide, what you're going to provide. And then at the end, if either party can't provide that, you have every right to refuse the service or whatever. You want to make sure that you're having a pre-meeting with all your technicians. Often we'll have our little pre-meeting and only half my technicians are there, so I need ideas from you guys on what to do for those that straggle in, and you know who you are. Because you think you've been there, you've done that, you don't need to come to the pre-meeting. But it is so important, because there's always new information coming out, or you've got to make sure you're on the same page with everybody on how the traffic flow is going to go, what you're doing about car seats that need to be replaced, how you're going to take donations, that sort of thing. And just going over the forms. What if you're using a different form than last time, or the form has changed? That's important to go over at that meeting. Barriers. In this picture, I didn't have a really good picture of some vehicle barriers, but this one I showed that we're using that little island there to be a barrier from the rest of the parking lot for our car seat check lanes. We don't want anybody driving through at 30 miles an hour to get to the other side of the parking lot, like people often do in wide open spaces. And we've had that happen before, and the best thing to do is line vehicles up to block out your area, just leaving enough space for an entrance and an exit route. You can also delineate your lanes with cones. Cones can get run over, so you know that you don't want to just use those as your barriers, but the cones can help to mark your lanes so that your technicians or your traffic controllers can wave the vehicles in and out appropriately. Signs, I don't have a picture of a good sign, but you do want some signs that show the entrance and the exit, as well as just some signs that are going to drive your traffic in, like car seat check here today, or I hate using free car seat check because they only read the first 3 words of that, and so then they think they're getting their free car seat there. But, you know, just something on the side of the road that'll help your traffic into the event. We have found that by and large, no matter how much advertising we do, it's drive-by traffic when we do our community events. So you do want to be at a place that's going to have high traffic. Clipboards, of course, you'll want clipboards, pens, pencils. You want some extra locking clips on hand. Belt shortening clips, if you need a belt shortening clip. I've got several. I'll be happy to mail you one because I think I've maybe used one once in my life in a real-world event. Of course, we want some noodles, but we also want some hand sanitizer. That's really important. Y'all know if you've been around a while, you want to get that stuff off your hands as quickly as possible, whatever that might be in the back of that vehicle. And we don't want to be spreading germs from one family to another. You don't want to get a call that there's been an outbreak and it all tracked back to your event that Friday morning. You need to either have child safety seats on hand or have a plan on what you're going to do if you need to replace one because it's broken, damaged, or been recalled and can't be used anymore, or a child arrived without one and they need one. I'm not saying you have to have the seats there, but you do need to have some sort of plan so everybody's on the same page on what to tell that parent. And of course you need educational materials. This is an educational event. And I put that tub up there because you just want to throw all this stuff in big tubs, get it organized, and just be able to load your truck and go to these events rather than unpacking and repacking all the time. Great place for those educational materials is ncsafekids.org, and you've got those materials out on the table if there's still any available, and you can also order them for free or download them in a PDF file. But that's a great resource. This is something, and I just want a show of hands. How many of you know your number by heart? About 70%. That's good. Sometimes at events it feels like 5% of mine know their numbers, and it's always a pain to try and go back after the fact to find their numbers for the forms that do require you put the number in. So make it easy on your coordinator to make sure you have that number. If it's not in your head, make sure you've got it in your wallet, and you can get this through the certification training website. So these are the things that are nice to have. Maybe they're not essential, but they make life a lot easier. If you have tents, it could be the kind you get from the sports stores. They don't have to be anything fancy. Table chairs to take a break. I hope you have your student manual because that's a great resource to use to reference, especially if you're new and you're trying to remember everything that you learned. Student manual would be a great thing to have on hand, as well as that latch manual. Latch manuals come out every 2 years, and so it's come out this year. I went online and I couldn't tell right off if you can start ordering right now. I think you can, but it's chock full of information that's going to help you, especially when those parents or caregivers forget their vehicle owner's manual or they don't know where that child restraint manual is, and you don't have any other reference to figure out what you're supposed to do with the seat and how to install it. So then that brings in cell phones. Technology has changed so much since I started over 8 years ago, and I think I had my first cell phone when I went to my technician class. I had my first cell phone, and you don't think about using that. It's just like automatic now, but back then we really didn't use it too much at events. But now they're like mini computers. You can look up information. You can call the manufacturers, call the vehicle manufacturer, child restraint manufacturer, to find out information if you don't have those instruction manuals in front of you, or to get clarification. Or you could use that or a computer with Wi-Fi to go online. A lot of the manufacturers for child restraints have their instructions online, or they have videos on how to install a car seat. So those are great resources. You'll want a first aid kit. You get scraped up in the back of those vehicles trying to put those car seats in. Some people like to use rubber gloves. Local resources, have a tear-off sheet, or make sure you have business cards, some way for people to follow up. If they have questions after they leave your event, they can contact you easily. And donations. I hope you're asking everybody at your events for some small donation. Some forms do have that question on there just at the end, like it's part of the whole check. So if you're not already asking for donations, make sure you do. You can have buckets out there. It can be as simple as that. Or if they say, I don't have any cash on me, you can provide a donation envelope that's already addressed with that bulk rate postage, so you only get charged if they actually use it. And have a little slip of paper in there that tells them what you are going to use that money for. It's for training, for you guys to come here, or it's for more educational materials, or it's to help provide car seats at these events. And I have not used this device yet, but hopefully, maybe some of you have. It's called a Square Up device, and there are other devices like it, but you just plug it into your cell phone or your iPad, and you can take credit card donations or debit card donations right there on the spot. So that's something neat, and we're looking into how we might do that at our events coming up in the summer. You do have to have a bank account attached to that, and that's what we're trying to work out right now. Sponsors, I mentioned earlier, get a sponsor. Have somebody provide your lunch. If it's maybe you're at a church, see if the church ladies might adopt your events and provide some lunch for you, or get Subway to donate lunch. You can just think of any kind of donation you might get from folks. And then partners are always essential. Y'all know we need partners out there, so I look out in the room and I see several of mine out there, and we couldn't do what we do without them. And we have really kind of gotten away from having so many events right now because we have 9 check-in stations in our county made up of all of our partners that are providing this type of education on a daily basis. And then they come to every event we have too, so that's great. So you do want to keep them happy. You don't want them to get burned out or frustrated or angry, especially if they haven't eaten. So make sure you get that lunch brought in. Have candy for them or breath mints. You don't want to be talking to parents after you've eaten that Subway with jalapenos and onions. Get them some snacks and drinks. Mention the hand sanitizer. In the winter, you may want lotion for their chapped hands, tissues for their runny noses, paper towels, trash bags. This summer, you can get those little spray fans where you fill it up with water and spray their faces. Sunscreen. I just keep sunscreen in my tote because I'm the one who forgets my own sunscreen. Again, with the winter, get some hand warmers if you're going to be out in the cold. And try to provide, if you do get a little bit of money saved up, try and thank your volunteers. You don't have to do it at every event, but maybe one event a year, like Seat Check Saturday, you get them some t-shirts or some other little incentive item just to say, thanks, we appreciate your help. We couldn't do it without you, and that's the truth. And we just want to remind everybody it's about education and not installation. Keep those that concept, learn, practice, explain. That's why you're here now. You're learning more about how to make a successful event, and then you're going to go back and practice it, and then maybe next year you'll be up here talking about it. Just want to give you a few more resources to make sure you're aware of them. The certification site, all kinds of information as well. I won't go into detail on everything, but if you haven't gone in there in a while, go back. They've changed their site. It looks really good. It's easier to find things. And just play around on it when you have a moment, because they do have lots of information there. Safe Ride News is where you can purchase that latch manual. They also have the Safe Ride News newsletter. And then the CPS board site. I have learned from our National CPS chairperson that the site will be revamped. They think it's rolling out the end of March, so look for that coming up. He says it's going to be a lot easier to use. This is also where you can get your tech update. You can get CEUs by reading those as well. Again, lots of information, so just play around on that site, especially when it comes out. And if you don't know, your National CPS chairperson is Alan Buchanan, and he's here this week. Sarah Tilton with RITAX is also on the board. So go talk to them about what's going on nationally. Those are some great resources as well.
Well, my name's Charlotte Roof. I'm from Rutherford County, known as Small Town Friendly. We have a population of about 68,000. I got into child passenger safety when I was a police officer. I worked for the town of Rutherford for 10 years, and when my chief told me I had to go learn to put in car seats, I went. Did I want to? No. I think a lot of people's probably told they have to do that. But all in all, I've enjoyed it. I made a lot of friendships, learned a lot, didn't know it was going to take me a week to put in a car seat. But I guess what I'm going to give you is a perspective on a small town. Leah, I don't know where you come from, how big your county is, but we don't have a lot of money, so we don't, and I'm going to read from notes, so sorry. So, microphone, please. Closer, can you hear me now? Okay. So we don't spend a lot of money. We are fortunate to be under a doctor's office, and so when we need our money, we can get it. So, as far as advertising, we don't have the money to advertise. So what we do is we like free, and I'm all about free and cheap, and you know, there's a coupon out there, I use it. But what we do, we do the call around. Y'all have that at your schools where they call around and give the announcements and everything. So we get them to put it on there. We have flyers go out to all the physicians, doctors' offices. Where else do we put them out? Health department. We have that big consignment reruns. Have y'all heard of that? We do that. We get people to go there and give out flyers there. What else? We do have a free paper there, Rutherford Weekly. We get advertising that. And of course, Facebook. I'm sure everybody can access Facebook. Now, you get me to put it on there? No, I don't know how to do nothing but read and look at pictures. So, and another thing, like at busy intersections, we got these banners we made up, and you put it on the chain link fences. Yeah, so we do that, especially at Walmart. Volunteers, we have, like, you know, anybody who's retired who wants to help but don't want to be a technician. We have two especially. All they want to do is just set everything up, and when we're done, they take everything down. That's their main job. I mean, we know that everything's been put up right, the lanes are done, the cones, the signs, and when we're done, they load it all up, and don't you load it, you take it to the trailer. There's a real picky about where everything goes. Let's see. Volunteers. We get a lot of our volunteers from Kiwanis Club, Pilot Club. We get teens. A lot of teens need volunteer hours for scholarships and all, so we really look for them to come and help. And I think the main thing is when we want volunteers, we don't ask them, if you say like a lot of hours, it scares them away. Say, hey, if you can just work 2 hours, that'd be great. 2 or 4 hours, you know. Whatever you can do, we'll take. And I've even recruited my kids, and I know Charlene's gotten her kids to help out, and they may not need the volunteer hours, but they help occupy other kids in the car while we're looking at the car seats. So that's always a good idea. And of course, my daughters sometimes don't want to go, but too bad. Let's see. Who do we partner with? Well, school system, let's see. EMS, we have people from the hospital, the health department, clerk of court, because I'm currently with the clerk of court now. We have Spindale Fire Department, local fire departments, and city police. Pediatricians, we have those that help out. And so if they need something, you know, we help them, and we need something, they help us. So we do get lunch sponsorships. So techs and volunteers can eat, because, you know, I know a lot of them firemen, they love to eat, so we got to keep them fed so they'll show up. Well, policemen too. Let's see. In our county, we have a great partnership or relationship with our GM dealership, and they let us do car seat checks there, which, you know, in turn brings business for them. So before that, we would hold it at Walmart. We've had a couple events at Walmart. Doctor's offices, you know, a grand opening is going to happen. You know, you can advertise with them, have your car seat event there. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, door prizes. You can lure people in by having door prizes. I know we have a small bookstore, a local bookstore, and we give out a free book to each child whose car seat inspected, so that, you know, that's something to think about. What kids don't like to look at books and look at pictures and stuff. So, what else? We do luckily have a permanent check-in station now. One of our fire departments is now a permanent check-in station, whereas before there was just a couple of us that all we did was install car seats and check car seats, so that's helped out tremendously, which that lowered our car seat events to where we only do like 4 a year now. So Time-wise, if you're thinking about a time for an event, 9 to 1 or 10 to 2, that we found that that's usually the best times to hold an event. You get it done, get it out of the way. Don't have to use your whole days up on car seats. Try to stay organized. As Leah had pictures of the totes with all the supplies. I was thinking a while ago, we have scales and tape measures. Some parents, they know everything their child does, and they can tell you how much they weighed down to that ounce. Some parents don't have a clue. So we have scales to weigh them. We have a tape measure for their height. You might want to put some Vicks Vapor Rub in there for the things that are in the back seat, like you don't know what that smell's coming from. We have used that before. And raincoats. When they say there's a chance of rain, there's a good chance it's going to storm, and I've been known to be out in the rain. We have runners. That's usually at every car. We try to have one at every car. Like, I need a pool noodle, I need this, and they run back and forth, so you can focus mainly in installing that car seat and educating the parent. So you don't want to be leaving back and forth because it breaks that concentration with the parent. Scribers, we have a few volunteers. They're wonderful to scribe and write everything down. Is she an accountant? Is she an accountant? Yes. We have an accountant. She is meticulous about scribing. She is awesome. So if you can get an accountant, they're very good on paperwork. Let them be your scriber. So there again, pre-event meeting, have that so everybody knows, where to go, what to do, be on the same page with everything. And make sure you thank the volunteers, because of course without them, no event would be successful. We like to post thank yous on Facebook, pictures. Everybody loves pictures. Like I said, I'm nosy. That's why I go on Facebook. I like to look at pictures. And let's see. I'm thinking that's about it. I mean, I don't get to go to all the meetings all the time because of my job now. I'm in court a lot. But if Charlene, the coordinator, ever says, hey, I need you here, I'm there. I think the main thing is just long you keep updated and show up. That's the main thing. You got to show up and put your time in. So, and sometimes that's the only time I get to see Charlene or some other text, and that's a way to catch up. And I've met a lot of good people. So, okay. Any other questions? Or any questions? You ain't asked nothing yet. So, anything?
I'm Kathy Malone, and I work with Durham County EMS, and I'm just going to give you a little bit of an overview of Durham. And like the small areas or the rural areas, we have the same problems in the city. So I just want to show you a little bit how we kind of approach a event when we're looking at events. To tell you a little bit about Durham, we're the one in red. We're right next door to Wake County, where you are now. We're 286 square miles. We have one city, Durham. We do have some rural areas. I live out almost to Virginia, out in the sticks versus the city part. We have 273,000 residents. And then you can see our demographic makeup. Now, why is it important that I show you this? If you don't know who you're working with or what you are working with, it's really hard to serve the people in your community. So, go look. You can go to the Census Bureau, get quick facts. If you don't know how many Latino or Hispanics are in your county, go look it up. It gives you an idea. Here's another one. How many daycares are in your county? We have approximately 333, and that's anything before kindergarten. That does not include our pre-K, and approximately 7.4% of our population is under 5. So we know what kind of kids we're dealing with. Looking at schools, this doesn't include any of our private, our charter, or independent religious-based type schools. 30 elementary, 11 middle school, 12 high schools, and 1 specialty school. And the specialty school is the school that's at Duke University Hospital. So we have quite a few kids within the school system. There's another target that we can hit. We're very fortunate, and I'm very fortunate to be from Durham, not originally, but I live there. We do have a Safe Kids Coalition, and our lead agency is Duke Children's Hospital. And then I work for Durham County EMS and have worked there for 24 years. and have been involved with CPS since about 1999. I've been an instructor since 2002. And we are the lead agency for the Buckle Up program. But one of the things that we have is that we have a wonderful working relationship with our Safe Kids Coalition. In fact, we have such a wonderful working relationship with our Safe Kids Coalition, we have given them an office in our building so that they have all of, our Safe Kids coordinator has an office there, so there's a lot of communication. We have 83 technicians and 6 instructors that call Durham home. Now, the technicians don't all live in Durham, but they may work within agencies within Durham County. So again, if you don't know how many technicians you have, it's kind of hard to contact them. Now, you can find out how many technicians you have through Buckle Up. You can also contact Bevan Curley at Buckle Up, and she will be able to tell you how many technicians you have. We also have a list today, here up there at the front, if you want to look and see what your county has, which was run 2 days ago. You know what you'll have. So, looking at planning. Just because you plan doesn't make for a perfect event. We all know that. But make sure when you're pre-planning your events that it's safe. Are you picking a place that everybody knows about? You just can't set up in a Walmart parking lot. Walmart needs to know about it. Does there need to be liability insurance? Does the agency that you're working for need to know that you're there so that you're covered by workman's comp if you're doing it on duty? Or does the volunteer agency need to know that you're there so that you can be covered? Those kinds of things. Who's coming to help or bringing what? What are they bringing? You want to know what your resources are. Are there going to be car seats there? Is there going to be equipment that you need? Supplies? How many technicians are planning on being there? How many interpreters? Real important for our area right now. And we struggle a little bit, but boy, we're getting a lot better. And then how many volunteers are you going to have? We're very fortunate that sometimes the PAs at the Duke Medical Center or Duke University and Duke Nursing, they need hours, and we're able to get some of those students in there to help volunteer with us. How visible are you? It's wonderful to set up a clinic, but I tell you, we've had some real bad ones because we get there, we're all ready to set up, and they say, oh, by the way, we've moved you down to the back of the parking lot. So you've got to make sure that you are visible. Like Leah said, you've got to have the signs, you've got to be in people's face, essentially. Partnerships is probably the key to running a successful event because, one, you're going to have the people and the resources, but also, how are you going to advertise? Social media is a wonderful way to advertise, looking at sending out flyers, blast emails. I mean, I can send one out for the county that I work in, and that's just 1,800 people that will get the email right off of my agency. So it's looking at, can you send a blast email? Can you send it over TVs and waiting areas? You've got to be creative and figure out a way to do that. And also banners. People still will read a banner. They see something up on the side of the road, they're still going to look at it. The key is make sure you just get enough information that they can see it when they're driving by. You don't want to put so much information on there that you can't, you can't read it. Again, making sure that you have your resources. Tents, we don't go anywhere without a tent. We are very fortunate because we've been around for a while when there was grant money available, and our Safe Kids coordinator, Teresa Cromling, and I, we always said when the money was around that this money's not going to be around, so we need to use it wisely because it will dry up. So fortunately, like in the top picture, we do have some nice pop-up tents, but they're old. They're old tents, but boy, there's only like 4 people we let touch them because they're break. But we're fortunate to be able to do that, and we do have trailers. But the key thing is when you're looking at your events, like Leah was saying, is you've got to have a nice, safe place. You've got to have space. The more space, the better. The biggest thing is do not ever allow anyone to back up at your events. We probably all know it, but it just needs to be reiterated. You cannot back up at the events. And turn cars off, whether it's hot out or cold out. The cars need to be turned off. You've got two issues. You've got carbon monoxide, and you also have children drivers. So they get in behind the wheel, and kids, yeah, they drive, and you don't want to have a car loose. One of the safety things that we kind of do is that we always post an officer or somebody into our clinic. You can't just drive into our clinics. You're going to have to stop. Why do you want to come into this? Are you here to get your car seat checked? Yes. Well, here, I will let you in. Because you were talking about the 30-mile-an-hour parking lot drivers. As soon as you move those cones, they're gonna start driving through there. And you can be at an event and people are raising Cain with you because you're checking car seats and you have the parking lot because they can't, get 2 feet away from the door. So really manage the traffic. The other thing is that we say no backing because a lot of our work is done on the parking lot. So if you have kids or technicians behind cars or near cars and you have somebody backing, you run the risk of having a back over. So please don't allow it. And the other thing is too, when we ask you to turn the vehicle off, if you're working near a car, near an exhaust, of course you're sucking in the exhaust. Now, one of the other things that you can do that we did is that if it's hot out, you know what, we talked about food draws people. It draws firefighters, but it also draws people to your events. It was like 12,000 degrees one day in the parking lot. So we knew it was going to be 12,000. So we had snow cones for the kids and families. Pretty inexpensive. And if I could find a used one on Craigslist, I will buy it. But it was wonderful because if you're messing with a seat, if people are hot, you had ice there, you had snow cones. Not exactly the cleanest, but that's why you have hand sanitizer and wipes there also. But it works well to help keep people cool, keep them, like in the heat, mostly it's cool. One of the other things that we're fortunate that we do have access to are misting fans, portable fans. Got to keep people cool, got to keep your technicians cool. So that's a cool thing. Now, if you're doing a car seat check, you should not just be talking about car seats. And this is just some of the things that we've done. One day we decided, you know what? Let's hit helmets. So we talked about using bike helmets, and we're able to fit children with bike helmets while we're there. It's fine to put them in a car seat, but what happens when we turn them out on the road to ride their bikes and they have no helmet? Okay. So we did bike helmets. We also will talk about hot cars. We talk about projectiles. We talk about backovers. In the bottom left, we had training seats there. We were talking not only about booster use, but also talking to tweens about driving safe and seatbelt use. And then the top left-hand corner, this is kind of our famous picture from Durham. The family, the gentleman standing with the crutches came in driving that car. If you'll notice, there is a tomato stake taped to the clutch of the car. The gentleman had his left foot in a cast, so the mother who was holding the infant when she came in the passenger seat would push on the tomato stake to put the clutch in to drive. So, this is a prime opportunity. Yes, they came in for a car seat. We got helmets on the kids. We got the kids properly restrained. We got the mom and dad properly restrained. And then we talked about safe driving practices and also distracted drivers. So it's not just about car seats. Think about other things that you can integrate into your clinics. We have no money either. So the biggest thing is partnerships. Look at maybe your parks and recreations departments. They're great to work with. They're willing to work with you. Operation Breakthrough has been a wonderful partner of ours this year. They have the kids, and they needed the help. And they usually need the help. So daycares, Operation Breakthrough, you know, you have so many in your areas. And the other thing is, too, is other agencies within your area providing the same service. We in Durham have an organization called Welcome Baby, and that's where they can go and get parenting, and they're doing education classes on car seats and helping parents with installations. Okay, well, why are we not collaborating? So, you should be collaborating. So we collaborated with them on an event. We did a big event. We were fortunate to get some donations, and in return, what we did is we handed back Welcome Baby a check where they were able to go buy 4 cribs for safe sleep. So it's, you know, it's a wonderful thing. It's just giving back to the community. And if you're going to charge for car seats, which if you come to Durham, there are no free car seats. We have a strong feeling that if you invest in a car seat, I don't care how much it is, you will take care of that car seat. We do ask for co-pays. We are right in line with the other county agency, so they can't go to the county agency Welcome Baby and they say, well, $50, and we'll say, oh, we'll say 40. We're very close. You've got to get people to pay because the money's not going to be there. You've got to be able to, you know, turn around and have some financial support. So we had a woman come through, you know, with an agency. We said, you know, car seats will be available, low cost. She showed up. She says, I have no money. And one of the technicians said, you've got a car, start digging in it, let's see how much money you have. They dug out over $8 worth of change, and there's the picture of it. But you know what? They invested in that seat and they invested in that child. And that's important. Now, is that kind of mean? I don't think so, because you have to make people accountable or help make them to be accountable. And that's really important. So now, are there people who cannot afford them? Sure. Are we able to kind of pick them out and work with them? Sure. But a majority of people can come up with something to be able to give to us. We talked about pre-planning real quick. Make sure that you do have a pre-meeting before you start the event. You know, you got to divide people into working groups. You know, is everybody a technician? Leah talked about, please have your number. Who are going to be your senior checkers? How are you going to use the form? But this is also an excellent time. You could do a 10-minute class on something. Before one of our events, you can see the t-shirt on below. You talk about incentives. That's our anchors project we did for tethers. So hook those anchors, hook the tethers. And what we did is, right before the car seat clinic started, we did 10 minutes on making sure that everybody was clear on the proper use of tethers, why it's important, those kinds of things, because there's still a lot of people who are not using tethers on their car seats. So we went ahead and did a little class on that. Who's the money collector? Who's, you know, if somebody gives you 20 bucks, who are you going to give it to? I don't want to keep the money in my pocket. Usually we have somebody collect it. What are you going to do with seat disposal, transportation? Where are you going to put them? Because I'll tell you, in our fine city, you just can't throw a old car seat on the side of the checking area because you'll turn around and it'll be gone. So, you know, we try to put them in a pile together and keep an eye on it, and then of course then they need to go away. How are you going to get rid of them? Those kinds of things. But we do a good job. I feel we do a good job, and I don't think we could ever get it done without the people that we have working within our system. We have wonderful partnerships, again, and they're growing, and it's just nurturing and talking to people and willing to work with people, and that's what's important. So, any questions for me?
Talking about the disposal of the seats, what we do is well, I'm the coordinator there at our office, but I wait for a few to collect, and then I take them to the fire department, and our local fire department destroys them. They have a place for us to lay them out, you know, and then they'll get them and destroy them.
Yeah, and not to bust on firefighters, because I know a lot of firefighters and I really appreciate them, but they like to break things. I've worked in emergency services a long time, I can say that. They will break things. One of the things that we have also been able to do is build relationships with like Lowe's and bust them, you know, make them so, you know, sometimes we'll put stuff in separate bags so you can't get them, but we throw them in their compactor and get rid of them. Unfortunately, we've collected a lot of seats at some of our events, so we kind of have to, you know, distribute them evenly amongst places, so it's important. Yeah.
And another thing about the tag numbers, all of the, like Sarah has her own clipboard, and of course I have 2 or 3 because of doing the events and stuff. But we work with the sheriffs. The sheriffs come to our events, and I have everybody's tech number
taped on there. That's actually a good idea.
And then it's tagged, so all you got to do is look at the bottom of the.
It's actually a good idea.
It's right there.
Yeah, tape the tech number onto clipboards so you know what they are. It's actually a good idea. Did you have?
I have a question about the consignment stores now are reselling car seats.
Yes, ma'am.
And sometimes you can see the expiration date has been expired. I didn't know how, like, Buckle Up Kids or can you help educate them on why not to resell car seats because you don't know if they've been in a crash.
It's just based on education and getting in there. And I tell you, we were talking about it the other day about some consignment shop owners don't want you in there. They don't want you to see it. But it's all in how you approach it, and it's all in how you explain it. And, you know, maybe have a recall list with you and just say, you know, these might not be the best. You know, I know that you may have cribs that have recalls on them. You know, it's interesting how consignment shop owners will be okay with having a crib that has had a recall on it, and then they'll get the recall fixed and resell it. But you say anything about a car seat and a recall, and they're like, well, it doesn't matter, I'm selling it. Or expired seat. So it's a matter of just kind of working with them. You may have to kind of be ginger about it, but it's all a part of that education piece. And we have a new consignment shop that I went to a couple days ago, and basically the woman said, I don't care what you have to say, I'm selling it. Okay, don't worry, I'll be back. Yeah, I'll be back. Yeah, so, you know, they're small business owners, so, you know, it's education. But most of them are like, oh, okay, I didn't realize that, and then they'll work to make sure that those seats are appropriate. So you can't stop it. It's going to happen. Yard sales. Teresa Cromley, she's our CPS coordinator, found a Renalux which is a crash test failure seat from 15 years ago. Yeah, for $25. Yeah, and he didn't want to come down to the price, and basically, my dear friend Teresa, she said, fine, I'll stand here and tell everybody about what you're selling here, and I'm not going to move. You got the car seat, didn't you? How much? 10. But it's out of there. People buy it. People will buy it.
That's what I was saying, like, as people donate and everything, like, you know, consignment stores or secondhand stores are popping up.
Yes.
When you purchase those to bring back, because you don't really want a kid in it, because you already know it's not safe.
Yeah.
Programs like that, like taking back on some of the.
Well, I mean, I guess if you could try to come up with like a take-back program, but once again, you know, where are you going to get the seats to help kind of, you know, replace those seats? Because they've already paid for a seat. They're sure as heck not going to want to fork out any money for another seat. And we run into that all the time. Teresa had one come into the ER. She sent me a picture of it. She said, I don't even know how to reroute these straps. And we looked at it, and I looked at it. She brought it. It was very messed up, and we ended up having to assist the family to get them out of the hospital. So it's not easy, and it's pretty gray. There are a lot of gray areas. unfortunately, but we're getting better.